Hello and welcome, and in today's video I'm going to share with you the 10 best Ark utility tames. In at number 10 is the Theory, and it is no lie that the Theory is an essential dinosaur in any Ark player's progress, and obviously it is in ASA as it is on the island. That is why there is ASA B-roll, and yes, not all the island creatures on this list do have ASA B-roll. I'm getting around on that, but the Theory is an extremely useful creature for gathering fiber, berries, wood and thatch, and all of those basic essentials in terms of resources, and it is a really nice combat creature to go along with that too. The Therizino is by far the best creature out there on the island for doing the dragon boss fight, as obviously it is not a carnivore, so it will not suffer that immense damage from the fire ability which the dragon will give off. Definitely a really nice thing for this creature to have. The only real downside being it needs sweet vegetable cake instead of meat to heal quickly, as it doesn't eat meat, it eats berries, but it can harvest meat, which is actually a very useful thing for a herbivore to have, as if you have a herbivore that deals a lot of damage, it kind of makes sense that it'd be able to harvest meat, and when herbivores can't harvest meat and you kill something with a herbivore, it's a bit annoying. You have to get off and then harvest it yourself. The Theory is definitely a useful tame in Ark, which you should tame at some point. In at number 9 is the Argentavis, and this really is a creature which again does spawn on the island, which is one of the bare essentials. The island is one of the creatures which you just need in Ark. There isn't really anything about getting around it. You just do need the RG. The RG is insanely useful for gathering things like metal. Obviously it doesn't gather the metal itself, but it does obviously carry that metal across the map, as it has weight reduction on things like metal, crystal and obsidian, and it is a really good travel mount as well. Again, with that weight and stamina being quite high, it's not like a Pteranodon where it will run out of stamina or weight really quickly. The RG can fly over long distances really well, albeit it's not as fast as the Pteranodon. Flyer speed leveling still is a thing on single player in ASA, so you can do that if you think it's too slow, and also the RG can pick up a lot more creatures than the Pteranodon can, and obviously you don't want to let it run out of stamina with any flyer, as then you'll spend ages flying down to the ground, but then at some point it will kind of just fall in the air, and you really don't want your RG to deal loads of full damage, and you don't want your RG to end up mine and be in the swamp, as the swamp is not a very good place at all. Now, the Gasbag doesn't spawn on the island, but it does spawn on Fjorda, and this creature is definitely one which I think if you have access to, which obviously if you have Fjorda, which is a free DLC, you will have access to this creature, and this is kind of the RG on steroids in my opinion. Yes, it may not be as easy to control as the RG, and it definitely takes a lot of learning to get to a high enough level, and I definitely haven't really got there yet. I'm not the best at flying one of these things, but for a start they can hold 2 people on, and they don't originally require a saddle, which is really nice to have, as you can just instantly ride the tame and you don't need a saddle for it. The saddle's only there if you want to bring a companion for you, and obviously it will add armor to it as well. Also, you'll need to level up oxygen instead of stamina if you want to fly over longer distances, as it will use oxygen, as it uses gas instead of like flapping its wings, because the Gasbag doesn't have wings, it kind of just uses its gas to fly about the map. And again, it is a great creature for gathering metal, as it has an insane weight stat. I'm not sure if it does have weight reduction, but it has an absolutely absurd weight stat for a flyer, and it isn't so slow like a Quetzal. Yes, albeit a Quetzal can be quite useful sometimes, but in my opinion the Gasbag is significantly more useful, and it is pretty kind of easy to do if you spend about 5 to 10 minutes practicing this thing first. I didn't at all before this, so yep, it was pretty rubbish. Sorry about my terrible flying, but you know, as always, if you do end up losing all of your oxygen, make sure to dismount just before you hit the ground, and then you won't take any fall damage, as fall damage is the only real main problem with this thing, as you can just fall out of the sky when you run out of gas, and then take loads of fall damage, and then your Gasbag is dead, and you can end up in a really sticky situation. But just before we continue, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, as it really does help out the channel, and you can be part of the 3K club. Now, the Snowowl originally first obviously came on Extinction like the Gasbag, but again can be found on Fjorda, and in my opinion this creature is just a little bit better when it comes to utility compared to the Gasbags, as the Snowowl has a lot of things which it can do. Namely, it is a much easier to control flyer than the Gasbags, albeit the Gasbags, once you've got and you know how to fly one, it is extremely useful and extremely quick. The Snowowl you can just simply pick up like that, and it is so easy and just so ergonomic to control in a way, if ergonomics even the right word for that. Probably isn't, to be honest. But also with its glide ability as well, this thing is just a really fast flyer, and it's a really great travel mount as well, and its weight and stamina isn't too bad, so you could probably do some very nice metal runs with this thing. And also in terms of finding tames and creatures that you may need to do at some point, you know, it's Ark, you may find yourself in a situation like that, or on a PvP scenario, you may find yourself looking out for some people trying to raid your base. You can find them with this simple like radar ability, and there's no kind of effects, as in like this not going to drain stamina, which is kind of nice. And you obviously want to level up the stamina, not just so you can fly longer distances, but you can heal up creatures as well. And if you're on the lookout for taming a creature and you've just knocking out a creature in that sense, and then if that creature has really low health because you just chuck loads of tranks into it, you can simply heal this thing up with the Snowowl, and you'll have easy quick healing, so the torpor drain won't be insane, and also you don't have to wait for absolutely ages for that Rex of yours to regen if it is a Rex that you're taming. Next up, we have the Stego. And many people out there may say, why am I putting the Stego above the Snowowl? The Snowowl is a far better tame, and largely I would say the Snowowl is a better tame than the Stego. But when it comes to utility, the Stego has a lot more utility than the Snowowl ever could. Firstly, it can gather berries, which is obviously an extremely useful thing for getting narcotics, to be able to tame creatures, to be able to even tame a creature like a Snowowl, which obviously you'll be using narcotics. You're not going to be hitting it with a club or using a slingshot, and sadly on the Stego the stamina is pretty abysmal, but you can obviously level it up as you want, but you'll probably want to level up weight. And actually, apparently the Stego is immune to Microraptors. That might not be true, but none of these Microraptors could attack me. There was like 3 of them on me, and no Microraptors could attack me. I guess the Stego is just the beast of the Redwoods now. Microraptors cannot kill me on the Stego. But it also does have several other plate modes as well. It's not just a berry gatherer, albeit it is my favourite berry gatherer. Yes, maybe a Bronto will gather more berries, but it's just so much more useful than the Bronto, obviously. It has 3 plate modes, like I've said. It has the sharpened plate, which will gather berries, the heavy plate, which is good for gathering things like wood. You always need a bit of wood in your life in Ark, and the hardened plate is great for turret soaking on PvP, and also with that you'll get rider protection too, so what a great utility tame to have. Next up, we have the Baselo, and what a creature the Baselo is. This creature is the king of the sea, and in terms of utility, this is going to be getting all of those underwater cave runs done. And you can technically put the Barry in this spot as well, as it isn't further on the list, as caves, yes, does count as a utility Ark task. It is definitely something, some sort of chore as you wish, which you'll need to do on your Ark journey in order to complete the game. And for those underwater caves, the Baselo is the way to go by far. Sadly, it does have a depth limit as a sense, as it will take damage, but on the island all of the caves aren't deep enough that the Baselo will take damage. It will only take damage in I think one of the entrances, but it isn't that bad, and you can kind of keep healing it up as long as you go. So it's not like it's just going to instantly die as soon as you hit the depth limit. It will just slowly be taking down in damage. And also this thing will passively make oil too, which is a really nice feature to have, and it is not allergic, it is immune to things like jellyfish and electric eels, which is an absolute godsend. Now again, another Extinction tame. It seems like Extinction tames are just the absolute king when it comes to utility, and in terms of the Gacha's abilities, this thing is great for giving you those resources. The resources it can make can range from just something very basic. I think it can make some kind of like stone or metal, but it can range all the way up to things like black pearls and element dust. Obviously the element dust isn't as useful now, as Gen 2 is an absolute haven for element, and element really isn't a problem anymore. But when Extinction came out, That was an absolutely insane feature. But still, black pearls are really something which are actually kind of hard to find. Again, on Gen 2, they're not too bad to get, as Gen 2 is just on absolutely, like, bloated map. There's just, yeah, that map's a little bit too OP. And also, if you do feed the Gachas owl pellets, you'll get even better loot out of it, like guns, rifles, and weapons. In at number 3 is the Baselo. And you may be wondering, why is this little cute frog in at number 3? It doesn't really seem like this is a great utility tame. What is wrong with you? Am I somewhat ill in a way that I would put this thing there? Or do I just have a really weird frog fetish? Well, to that I will say no. The Baselo is a tame out there which is by far the best way to gather cementing paste. And you may say, well, beaver dams give me enough cementing paste. Beaver dams is all I need. And if beaver dams is all you need, then beaver dams is all you need. But with the Baselo, you can get even more cementing paste, and now with the removal of levels for insects in ASA, if you get ASA, insects are even easier to kill now, which is actually a pretty nice thing, which means the insect cave is significantly easier on ASA than it is in ASE, and you can just get even more cementing paste. As the Baselo, when it kills an insect, it will gather cementing paste. I probably should have mentioned that a little bit sooner. So no, I do not have any kind of frog fetish. It's just a really, really great, consistent cementing paste gatherer, which I think you should tame at some point. In at number 2 is the Anki, and the Anki is a tame out there which every single Ark player should tame, and it spawns on the island, so you don't really have an excuse. Every single version of Ark out there, even mobile, has the Anki in it, and the Anki is a tame which you should get at some point. For definite, no questions asked. The Anki is an essential tame for gathering metal, and when paired with the Argy, as the Argy can pick up the Anki, you have yourself the best metal gathering dinos in the game. You can use the Anki to gather that metal, and then the Argy can pick it up as well. And as just a little honorable mention, you can put the Dodic here as well. I probably should have put it on this list actually, but it isn't. The Dodic should go here kind of hand in hand with the Anki. The Dodic is going to get you all of that stone and those kind of resources, and the Anki is going to get you that flint and that metal, obviously. The Anki is definitely the more useful of the two, but the Dodic is still a very, very insane harvester of things like stone, which you'll definitely need at some point. Anything the hatchet gathers well, the Dodic will gather well, and anything the pick gathers well, the Anki will gather well. Some really, really great essential tames. Really should have put the Dodic on the list, but if you can, go and tame yourself an Anki. You don't really have an excuse. I don't really know why you said if you can. They're easy tames, they're great, and really, really productive. In at number 1 is the Desmodus, and you may think, what is productive about the Desmodus? This is just a bat. This is a creature which I use to absolutely ravage other tames, and also this thing does spawn on Fielder as well, so it is on a free DLC, so it is actually quite accessible to Ark players. But mainly this thing's utility comes from the Sanguine Elixir, as it is an absolute cheat when it comes to tames, and taming is a big part of Ark, and it is also really, really good at gathering up blood bags, as it can suck blood pads out of creatures. And I think if you kill creatures you get blood bags as well, but you can get blood bags really, really easily out of tames, and you can kind of grapple onto walls as well. So if you want to be Spider-Man in Ark, or if you don't have a Tapijara, which can also do this ability, then you can be Bat Spider-Man, the off-brand. Yeah, that's an absolutely insane Bat Spider-Man, everyone. Give it up for Bat Spider-Man. But anyway, that is the end of today's video, and I really hope that you enjoyed this one. And as always, comment down below your 10 favourite Ark utility tames, and I will see you all later.